He smirked when the invitation went out. "She'll crawl in like a stray dog," he said. But when the ballroom doors opened, she wasn't crawling. She was gliding. And she didn't come alone. This was supposed to be Hector Lancaster's big day. His new wife, his perfect image, his final humiliation of the woman he discarded. But when Marian Atkinson stepped through those doors, in red satin, flanked by a billionaire, and 4 little boys with eyes just like Hector's, the entire room stopped breathing. And then, it started unraveling. What would you do if the man who destroyed your life invited you back to mock you in front of the world? Would you hide? Or would you show up with 4 reasons to never be underestimated again? Before we dive in, where are you watching from, and what kind of story do you want to see next? Drop it in the comments. And if stories like this pull you in and don't let go, go ahead, hit subscribe. I have another powerful one coming tomorrow. Now, let's get into the story. The envelope arrived on a Tuesday morning, slipped under Marian Atkinson's apartment door like a snake through tall grass. She almost didn't see it. Her hands were full, one boy tugging at her sleeve, another spilling cereal, the third crying about a lost shoe, and the fourth somehow already covered in marker despite being awake for only 20 minutes. This was her life now. Chaos wrapped in love, exhaustion stitched with purpose. But there it was. Cream-colored, heavy cardstock. Her name written in calligraphy so perfect it looked like mockery. Ms. Marian Atkinson. Not Mrs. Lancaster. Not anymore. She set down the sippy cup she'd been holding and picked up the envelope with 2 fingers, as if it might burn her. The boys sensed the shift in her energy and quieted, their wide brown eyes, his eyes, watching her face. Inside, embossed in gold foil, were the words she never thought she'd see. "You are cordially invited to the wedding of Hector Jameson Lancaster and Eliza Moreau." Her breath caught. Cordially invited. To watch the man who destroyed her marry someone new. Someone younger. Someone who didn't know what it felt like to beg him not to leave while 6 months pregnant and broke. Marian's hands trembled as she read the date. 3 weeks away. Location, the Grand Bellamy Hotel, the most exclusive venue in the city. Black tie. No +1 mentioned. And at the bottom, in Hector's own handwriting, she'd recognize that slant anywhere, a personal note. "Marian, I hope you'll come. Let's show the world we've moved on. No hard feelings. H. No hard feelings." She almost laughed. Almost. But the sound died in her throat, replaced by something colder. Sharper. This wasn't an olive branch. This was a stage. And she was supposed to be the opening act, the cautionary tale, the woman who couldn't keep her man, the bitter ex-wife skulking in the shadows while he danced with his beautiful new bride under crystal chandeliers. Hector wanted her there for one reason, to prove he'd won. He wanted to see her small, broken, proof that leaving her had been the right choice. Marian crumpled the invitation in her fist. "Mama." The smallest voice belonged to Eli, her youngest by 4 minutes. "You okay?" She looked down at her sons. 4 years old. 4 perfect faces. For reasons she would never, ever be small again. "I'm okay, baby," she whispered, smoothing his dark curls. "Mama's just thinking." But thinking was dangerous. Because the more she thought about it, the angrier she became. Hector had emptied their joint account the day he left. He'd changed the locks on the house they'd bought together. He told his family she was unstable and difficult. He'd walked away without a backward glance, never knowing she was carrying his children. 4 of them. She never told him. Never asked for a dime. She'd rather scrub floors at 3 jobs than give him the satisfaction of being needed. And now? Now he wanted her to show up and smile? To play nice while he flaunted his new life? What would you do if your ex invited you to witness their perfect new life? Would you stay home? Or would you show up and remind them exactly who they underestimated? Drop your answer below. Backhand index pointing down. Across the city, in a penthouse suite overlooking the skyline, Hector Lancaster poured himself a scotch and grinned. "She's going to come," he said, swirling the amber liquid in his glass. "I know she will." His groomsmen lounged around the room, old college buddies, corporate climbers, men who measured success in zeros and conquests. They laughed, because Hector always made them laugh. He had that kind of confidence. The kind that made cruelty look like charm. "You really think she'll show?" asked Marcus, loosening his tie. "After everything?" "Oh, she'll show," Hector said, his grin widening. "Marian's got too much pride to ignore it. She'll want to prove she's doing fine, or whatever lie she's been telling herself." "What's she even doing these days?" another groomsman asked. "Still working at that. What was it, a laundromat?" "God knows." Hector shrugged, taking a long sip. "Last I heard, she was barely scraping by. Living in some shoebox apartment on the east side. Probably still angry I didn't leave her the beach house." He snorted. Like she could have afforded the property taxes anyway. The room erupted in laughter. "She'll be lucky to find a dress that zips," Marcus added, and they howled louder. Hector raised his glass. "To Eliza. The upgrade." "To the upgrade," they echoed, clinking glasses. But as the laughter faded and the conversation drifted toward bachelor party plans, Hector's smile faltered, just for a second. He stared into his drink, seeing a ghost of a memory he usually kept buried. Marian on their wedding day, spinning in her simple white dress, laughing so hard she cried. Marian, making breakfast in his old apartment, flower on her nose, singing off-key. Marian, the night he told her he was leaving, her face crumpling like paper. He shook it off. Downed the rest of his scotch. That Marian was gone. Replaced by whoever she was now, some exhausted, irrelevant version of the girl he'd once thought he loved. And in 3 weeks, when she walked into that ballroom and saw him with Eliza, young, polished, perfect, she'd finally understand what he'd known all along. He'd outgrown her. What Hector didn't know, what he couldn't know, was that shame was something Marian Atkinson had left behind years ago. Somewhere in a modest apartment across town, she was tucking 4 little boys into bed, kissing 4 foreheads, whispering 4 goodnight prayers. And when she closed the door to their room and stood alone in the hallway, she didn't cry. She smiled. Because shame requires an audience. And Marian? She'd stopped performing a long time ago. 5 years earlier. Marian had known something was wrong for weeks. The late nights. The distant eyes. The way Hector's phone would light up at dinner and he'd excuse himself, always with the same excuse, "It's work, babe. Just work." But work didn't make a man smell like unfamiliar perfume. Work didn't explain the credit card charges at restaurants they'd never been to together. Work didn't justify the way he flinched when she touched him anymore, like her hands carried some kind of disease. She'd been a devoted wife. The kind who believed in second chances and communication and fighting for your marriage. She'd ironed his shirts, attended his company dinners, smiled at his colleagues' wives even when they looked at her like she didn't belong. She put her own career on hold, her dreams of finishing her degree, because Hector said they needed to focus on his trajectory first. "Once I make partner, we'll have everything," he'd promised, kissing her forehead. "Then it'll be your turn. I swear." She'd believed him. God, she believed every word. The night it ended, she'd made his favorite meal. Pot roast, garlic mashed potatoes, the apple pie his mother used to make. She'd lit candles. Worn the dress he'd once said made her look like starlight. She was 6 weeks pregnant and hadn't told him yet. She wanted it to be perfect. He came home at 10 p.m., reeking of whiskey and guilt. "We need to talk," he said, not even glancing at the table she'd set. Her heart sank. "Okay, let's talk." But he didn't sit. He stood by the door, keys still in hand, like he was already halfway gone. "I've met someone else." 4 words. That's all it took to detonate 5 years of marriage. Marian's breath left her body. "What?" "Eliza. She's different. She gets me. She's ambitious, driven. He stopped himself, but the damage was done. "She's not you," was what he meant. "Hector, we can fix this," Marian said, hating the desperation in her voice. "We can go to counseling. We can." "I don't want to fix it." His voice was cold. Final. "I want a divorce." She stood there frozen, one hand instinctively moving to her stomach where a secret she'd been bursting to share now felt like a weight she'd have to carry alone. "Is it because I'm not?" She couldn't finish. "Wasn't what? Successful enough? Pretty enough? Enough?" "It's because I've outgrown this," he said, gesturing vaguely at her, at the apartment, at the life they'd built. "I need someone who matches where I'm going. And you." He exhaled, sharp and cruel. "You're stuck, Marian. You've always been stuck." The words hit her like fists. She wanted to scream, to cry, to throw the pot roast at his head. Instead, she whispered, "Get out." He left that night. Took his clothes, his laptop, his awards from the shelf. Left behind the photos. The wedding album. The woman who'd loved him when he was nobody. Marian didn't tell him about the baby. Not then. Not when the divorce papers came. Not when she saw him 2 months later with Eliza on his arm at a charity gala, both of them glowing like they'd invented happiness. She left with nothing but a swelling belly, a broken heart, and her silence. Because some men don't deserve to know what they've lost. The worst night came 3 days after Hector moved out. Marian had been holding it together, barely. She'd called in sick to work, spent hours on the bathroom floor, cried until her eyes were swollen shut. But she'd convinced herself she could survive this. Women did it every day. Heartbreak wasn't fatal. Then she checked her bank account. $0. Her hands shook as she refreshed the app. Refreshed again. But the number didn't change. He'd emptied it. Every penny from their joint account, gone. The account she'd been depositing her paychecks into for years, while he managed their finances. Panic clawed at her throat. She called the bank. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Lancaster, but the account holder withdrew the funds yesterday. Since it's a joint account, he had every legal right." She hung up. Rent was due in a week. She had $43 in her purse and a maxed-out credit card. And she was pregnant. She tried calling Hector. Voicemail. Tried texting. Read receipts on, but no response. Then came the knock at the door. A locksmith. Hired by the landlord. Hector's name was on the lease. He'd already called and terminated it. "You've got 24 hours to clear out, ma'am." "I'm sorry." She packed what she could fit into 2 suitcases and a garbage bag. Left behind the furniture, the kitchen supplies, the framed photo from their honeymoon in Cabo. That night, she stayed at a motel that charged by the hour. The walls were stained. The sheets smelled like bleach and regret. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring at nothing, feeling like her entire existence had been erased. The next morning, she moved into a women's shelter. She got a job folding laundry at a senior living facility. Minimum wage. No benefits. But it was something. And it was there, standing in a humid back room, folding towels that smelled like lavender detergent, that the nausea hit. She barely made it to the bathroom. Afterward, sitting on the cold tile floor, she bought a pregnancy test from the dollar store on her break. Positive. She took 3 more, hands shaking. Positive. 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 But it wasn't joy she felt. It was terror. She was alone. Broke. Homeless. And pregnant. No, not just pregnant. At her 8-week ultrasound, squeezed in at a free clinic, the technician went quiet. Then smiled. "Well," she said slowly, "this explains a lot." Marian's heart hammered. What? Is something wrong? Not wrong. Just unexpected. The woman turned the screen toward her. "Congratulations. You're having quadruplets." The room tilted. 4 heartbeats. 4 tiny blips on the screen. 4 lives depending on a woman who could barely feed herself. Marian stared at the monitor, tears streaming down her face. She didn't call Hector. Didn't tell his family. Didn't ask for help. Because in that moment, she made a choice. These babies would have her name. Her strength. Her love. They would never know a father who saw them as inconveniences. They would never feel like they weren't enough. She folded those 4 positive tests into a napkin, tucked them into her pocket, and went back to work. And somewhere deep inside her, beneath the fear and exhaustion and grief, a spark of steel began to form. The years that followed were a blur of survival and small miracles. 4 babies. Born at 32 weeks. Tiny fists and tinier lungs. Marian spent 6 weeks living in the NICU, sleeping in a chair between incubators, learning to tell them apart by the cowlicks in their hair and the different shapes of their cries. Eli. Mason, Carter, Liam, her boys, her entire world. She named them carefully, strong names, names that meant something. Names that had nothing to do with Hector Lancaster. They came home one by one, each released from the hospital a victory she celebrated with tears and prayers whispered into their soft heads. And then the real work began. 3 jobs. That's what it took. Mornings, she cleaned offices downtown, vacuuming conference rooms while the city still slept, her back aching, her hands raw from chemicals. Afternoons, she worked at a call center, smiling through the phone while angry customers screamed about late bills. Evenings, when a neighbor could watch the boys, she waitressed at a diner off the highway, pocketing tips in a jar labeled college fund even though college felt like a fantasy. 2 hours of sleep. Sometimes less. She learned to function on coffee and adrenaline. Learned to change 4 diapers in under 10 minutes. Learned to cook 1 meal that could stretch across 3 days. Learned to ignore the gnawing ache of loneliness, the way her body screamed for rest, the hollow feeling that came from being invisible. But she also learned something else. She learned she was stronger than she'd ever imagined. There were moments, there were moments, when she wanted to quit. When the babies cried in unison at 3 a.m. and she sat on the kitchen floor, sobbing into her hands, wondering how anyone survived this alone. When the eviction notice came because she was $200 short on rent. When Mason got sick and the hospital bill arrived like a death sentence. But then Eli would reach for her face with his chubby hands. Or Carter would take his first steps and fall into her arms, laughing. Or Liam would whisper mama, like it was the only word that mattered. Or Mason would fall asleep on her chest, his tiny heartbeat syncing with hers. And she'd remember why she kept going. 0 regrets. Not one. Because they had her last name. Atkinson. A name that meant resilience. Survival. Love that didn't quit. By the time the boys turned 4, Marian had saved enough to move them into a small 2-bedroom apartment in a decent neighborhood. It wasn't much, the walls were thin, the heat was inconsistent, and the carpet had stains she couldn't explain, but it was theirs. She hung their drawings on the fridge. Read them bedtime stories every night, even when her eyes burned with exhaustion. Taught them to say please and thank you and I love you. She became steel wrapped in softness. Unbreakable, but warm. And she never once looked back toward the man who'd tried to break her. Until the invitation came. What's the hardest thing you've ever had to do alone? Drop a comment, we see you. Flexed biceps. 2 days after the wedding invitation arrived, Marian was pulling a double shift at the diner when a man in a tailored charcoal suit walked in. He didn't belong there. Everything about him screamed money. The watch that probably cost more than her car, the way he moved like someone used to being listened to, the quiet confidence that came from never having to worry about anything as mundane as a credit card decline. He sat in her section. Corner booth. Ordered black coffee and nothing else. Marian brought it over, forcing her customer service smile. Anything to eat, sir? No, thank you. His voice was smooth, controlled. He looked up at her, and something flickered in his eyes. Recognition? You're Marian Atkinson. Her stomach dropped. Do I know you? No, but I know who you are. He gestured to the seat across from him. Please, sit. She glanced around. The diner was nearly empty, and her manager was in the back. Still, this felt wrong. Dangerous, even. I'm working, she said carefully. I'll make it worth your time. He slid a business card across the table. Jeffrey Courtney. Courtney Enterprises. Her breath caught. Everyone knew that name. Jeffrey Courtney was a billionaire, old money mixed with new innovation. Hotels. Tech real estate. He owned half the city skyline. But he was also famously reclusive. No social media. Rare interviews. He moved through the world like a shadow, powerful but invisible. Why are you here? She asked, not touching the card. Because Hector Lancaster is a snake, Jeffrey said simply. And I don't like snakes. Marian's pulse quickened. I don't understand. Jeffrey leaned back, studying her with dark, unreadable eyes. I know what he did to you. The divorce. The money. The way he left you with nothing. He paused. I also know about your sons. Her blood turned to ice. How do you? I make it my business to know things. His tone wasn't threatening. It was matter of fact. Hector's getting married in 3 weeks. And he invited you. She said nothing. He thinks you'll come crawling. That you'll show up broken, embarrassed, so he can parade his new life in front of you like a trophy. Jeffrey's jaw tightened. Men like him thrive on humiliation. It's the only way they can feel big. Why do you care? Marian demanded, her voice sharper now. What do you want from me? Jeffrey met her gaze, and for the first time, she saw something human beneath the polished exterior. I want to help you make an entrance he'll never forget. She almost laughed. I'm a waitress with 4 kids and $300 in savings. I'm not exactly equipped for grand entrances. That's where I come in. Why? She shook her head, confused and suspicious. Why would you do this? You don't even know me. Jeffrey was quiet for a long moment. Then, softly, I know what it's like to be underestimated. To have someone try to erase you from their story. His eyes darkened. And I know what it's like to want them to see, just once, that they were wrong. Marian stared at him, her heart pounding. This man, this stranger, was offering her something she didn't even know she wanted. A chance. Not for revenge. Not for closure. But for dignity. I don't need saving, she said quietly. I know. Jeffrey smiled, and it was surprisingly kind. But maybe you deserve to stop fighting alone. Jeffrey Courtney showed up at her apartment 3 days later. Marian opened the door with Eli clinging to her leg, Mason crying in the background, Carter covered in what looked like yogurt, and Liam attempting to scale the bookshelf like it was Mount Everest. Mr. Courtney, she said, slightly breathless, prying Eli's fingers from her jeans. I didn't expect. I should have called. He stood in the doorway, looking somehow out of place and perfectly comfortable at the same time. His suit was immaculate. Her apartment was chaos. May I come in? She hesitated, acutely aware of the toys scattered across the floor, the laundry basket overflowing on the couch, the dishes piled in the sink. But something in his expression stopped her from apologizing. Sure, she said, stepping aside. But fair warning, it's a circus in here. I like circuses, Jeffrey replied, and she caught the hint of a smile. The boys immediately swarmed him. For pairs of curious brown eyes staring up at the tall stranger in their living room. Who are you? Carter asked bluntly. A friend of your mother's, Jeffrey said, crouching down to their level. And who are you? I'm Carter. That's Mason. That's Eli. And that's Liam. He eats dirt. I do not, Liam protested. Jeffrey chuckled, and the sound was surprisingly warm. He looked up at Marian. They're incredible. They're exhausting, she said, but her eyes were soft. Boys, go play in your room for a minute. Mama needs to talk to Mr. Courtney. They scattered with the speed of tiny tornadoes. Jeffrey straightened, his gaze sweeping the small apartment, the crayon drawings taped to the walls, the thrift store furniture, the stack of bills on the counter she tried to hide under a magazine. I know who you are, Marian, he said quietly. And what he did. She crossed her arms, defensive. Then you know I don't need pity. This isn't pity. His voice was firm. This is justice. Justice. She laughed, bitter. There's no justice in going to a wedding where I'm the punchline. Hector wants me there to humiliate me. To prove he won. And you know what? He did win. Look at me. She gestured at herself, her faded jeans, her discount store sweater, her hands that were dry and cracked from work. I'm exactly what he said I'd be. Stuck. You're not stuck. Jeffrey's eyes blazed. You're standing. After everything he did, after he stole from you, abandoned you, left you to raise 4 children alone, you're still standing. That's not stuck, Marian. That's strength. Her throat tightened. He took everything from me, she whispered. No. Jeffrey stepped closer, his voice low and intense. He took your money, your security, but he didn't take you. You're still here. Your sons are healthy and loved because of you. You survived him. Tears burned behind her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Why do you care? she asked again, her voice breaking. Why does this matter to you? Jeffrey was silent for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice carried a weight she hadn't heard before. Because 15 years ago, someone I loved was humiliated by a man like Hector. A man who thought power meant crushing people beneath him. His jaw clenched. She didn't survive it. And I've spent every day since wishing I'd done something, anything, to help her fight back. Marian's breath caught. I can't change the past, Jeffrey continued. But I can help you walk into that room and show him that he didn't destroy you. That despite everything, you're thriving. I'm not thriving, she said weakly. I'm barely surviving. Then let me help you do more than survive. His eyes locked on hers. Let me help you win. Marian shook her head, stepping back. I can't go to that wedding. Why not? Because, she gestured helplessly. Because I'll walk in there and everyone will see exactly what Hector says I am. Poor. Pathetic. A cautionary tale about what happens when you're not enough. Or, Jeffrey countered, they'll see a woman who survived betrayal and built a life worth living. A mother who raised 4 boys with grace and grit. In what? A dress from Target? With my used Toyota parked next to their Mercedes. She laughed, sharp and pained. I don't belong in that world anymore. I never really did. You belong anywhere you choose to be. You don't understand. Her voice rose, frustration bleeding through. I've spent 5 years making myself invisible. Working jobs where no one knows my name. Avoiding places where I might run into people from my old life. I've hidden, Mr. Courtney, because it was easier than facing their pity. Then stop hiding, Jeffrey said simply. I have 4 children depending on me. I can't afford pride. This isn't about pride. His tone sharpened. It's about showing them, he pointed toward the bedroom where muffled laughter echoed, that their mother doesn't bow to men who tried to break her. Marian froze. Your sons are watching you, Jeffrey continued, softer now. Every day, they're learning what strength looks like. What dignity looks like. Do you want them to learn that when someone hurts you, you hide? Or do you want them to see you stand tall? Her hands trembled. I can't. Then don't go for him. Jeffrey moved closer, his presence somehow both commanding and comforting. Don't go to make Hector feel small. Don't go for revenge. Go for them. He nodded toward the boys' room. Show your sons that their mother is a force to be reckoned with. That no man, no matter how rich or powerful, can erase her. Tears spilled over now, hot and unstoppable. What if I fail? She whispered. What if I walk in there and fall apart? Then you fall apart in a designer dress, in a limousine, with your head held high. Jeffrey's smile was gentle. But you won't fall apart. I've seen women break under far less. You're still standing, Marian. That means you're already stronger than he'll ever be. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, emotions warring inside her. Fear, anger, hope. That last one was dangerous. Hope had burned her before. What exactly are you proposing? She asked finally. An entrance that reminds everyone who you are. A red dress. A limousine. Your sons by your side, dressed like the princes they are. His eyes glinted. And me if you'll have me. As your date. Her eyes widened. You want to be my date to my ex-husband's wedding? I want to be the man standing beside you when you prove Hector Lancaster made the biggest mistake of his life. Marian stared at him, her heart hammering. This was insane. This was impossible. This was... Why red? She asked, her voice barely audible. Jeffrey's smile turned wolfish. Because you're done being invisible. The next 2 weeks moved like a dream Marian was afraid to wake from. Jeffrey Courtney didn't just make promises. He delivered them with the precision of a man who'd built an empire on never failing. First came the dress. Not from a department store. Not off a rack. He brought a designer to her apartment. A sharp-eyed woman named Claudette who looked at Marian like she was a canvas and smiled. Red, Claudette said immediately, circling her. Deep red. Like wine. Like power. Red. Marian touched her hair nervously. I don't know if I can pull off. You can. Claudette's tone left no room for argument. Trust me. The dress took shape over 5 fittings. Silk that caught the light. A neckline that was elegant, not desperate. A fit that hugged her curves. The body that had carried 4 children and still stood strong. When Marian finally saw herself in the mirror, fully dressed, hair styled in soft waves, makeup subtle but striking, she didn't recognize the woman staring back. She looked powerful. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Exactly," Claudette said, satisfied. But Jeffrey wasn't done. The day before the wedding, a sleek black limousine pulled up outside her apartment building. Neighbors stopped and stared. Children pressed their faces to windows. "For tomorrow," Jeffrey said simply when she came downstairs, the boys tumbling after her. "Mr. Courtney," she breathed. "This is too much." "It's exactly enough." He crouched down to the boys' level. "Gentlemen, I have something for you." 4 garment bags emerged from the trunk. Tiny tuxedos. Perfect miniature suits with satin lapels and Marian's breath caught, red bow ties that matched her dress exactly. "We get to wear those?" Carter's eyes went wide. "You do," Jeffrey said. "Because tomorrow, you're going to show the world what handsome, strong boys look like." Eli tugged on Jeffrey's sleeve. "Will you be there too?" "I will," Jeffrey promised. "Right beside your mom." Liam looked up at his mother, his brown eyes, Hector's eyes, solemn and wise beyond his 4 years. "Mama, are you sad?" She knelt down, gathering all 4 of them close. "No, baby. I'm not sad. I'm ready." And for the first time in 5 years, she meant it. That night, after the boys were asleep, Marian stood in front of her bathroom mirror in the red dress. She turned slowly, watching the fabric move, catching glimpses of the woman she used to be and the woman she'd become. Hector had tried to make her small. But tomorrow, she would walk into that ballroom with her head high, her sons by her side, and a billionaire on her arm. Not for revenge. For dignity. If you think Hector's plan is already falling apart, just wait until Marian opens her mouth. Drop a fire if you're ready for what happens next, and don't forget to subscribe for stories that flip power on its head. The Grand Bellamy Hotel was exactly as pretentious as Marian remembered. Crystal chandeliers. Marble floors. Servers in white gloves carrying champagne on silver trays. The kind of place where every surface gleamed and every guest looked like they'd stepped out of a magazine. The wedding was scheduled for 6 p.m. Marian's limousine arrived at 6:07. Fashionably late. Jeffrey had insisted. "Let them get comfortable first," he'd said that morning, adjusting his cufflinks. "Let Hector think you're not coming. Then we make our entrance." Now, as the limousine pulled up to the red carpet, yes, there was a red carpet, Marian's heart hammered against her ribs. "I can't do this," she whispered. Jeffrey turned to her, his expression calm and certain. "Yes, you can." In the back seat, 4 little boys in perfect tuxedos stared out the windows with wide eyes. "Mama," Mason said softly. "Why is everyone looking?" "Because we're about to give them something to see," Jeffrey said, winking at him. The driver opened the door. Jeffrey stepped out first, every inch the powerful billionaire. Cameras flashed. Apparently, Hector had hired photographers to document his perfect day. Then Jeffrey extended his hand back into the car. Marian took a breath. Then another. She placed her hand in his and stepped out. The cameras went wild. She stood there, bathed in flashing lights, her red dress catching the golden hour sun like fire. Her hair fell in waves over her shoulders. Her chin was up. Her spine was steel. And then, one by one, 4 little boys in tiny tuxedos climbed out behind her. The gasps were audible. Someone dropped a champagne glass. Because those 4 faces, those 4 pairs of brown eyes, that distinctive Lancaster jawline, the dark hair that curled just so, were unmistakable. They were Hector's. Inside the ballroom, the ceremony had just begun. The bride was walking down the aisle to violin music, her train sweeping behind her like a cloud. Hector stood at the altar, smiling his perfect smile, until the doors at the back of the ballroom opened. The music didn't stop, not at first, but heads turned. One by one, like dominoes falling. Whispers rippled through the crowd like fire through dry grass. Is that? Oh my God, that's Marian. Who's the man with her? Wait, those children. Hector's smile froze on his face. Marian walked down the side aisle slowly, Jeffrey at her side, the boys between them holding hands. She didn't look at Hector, didn't acknowledge the stares. She simply existed, radiantly, undeniably. The bride stopped mid-aisle, confused by the sudden shift in energy. The minister stammered through the next line. But no one was listening anymore. Because Marian Atkinson had just walked into Hector Lancaster's wedding like she owned the room. And in a way, she did. The ceremony limped forward, but the damage was done. Eliza, the bride, managed to reach the altar, but her smile had turned brittle. Her eyes kept darting to the side aisle where Marian sat, poised and serene, with 4 little boys who looked disturbingly familiar. Hector's hands shook as he took Eliza's. His jaw was clenched so tight it looked painful. The minister rushed through the vows. By the time they were pronounced husband and wife, the kiss was perfunctory, mechanical. The room applauded out of obligation, not joy. During the reception, Hector made his rounds like a man on autopilot, shaking hands, accepting congratulations. But his eyes kept finding Marian across the ballroom. She sat at a table near the dance floor, the boys munching on fancy hors d'oeuvres and giggling at the ice sculptures. Jeffrey sat beside her, leaning in occasionally to whisper something that made her smile. And God, that smile. It was the same smile Hector remembered from their early days, before he'd crushed it out of her. He couldn't stand it anymore. Excusing himself from a conversation with Eliza's father, Hector crossed the ballroom with purposeful strides. His groomsmen followed like a pack of wolves sensing blood. Marian. His voice was tight, controlled, but fury simmered beneath. What are you doing here? She looked up at him, her expression calm. You invited me, Hector. Remember? No hard feelings. She echoed his own words back to him with a sweetness that cut like glass. His eyes slid to Jeffrey. And what is he doing here? Jeffrey Courtney. Jeffrey stood, extending a hand that Hector didn't take. I'm Marian's date. Lovely wedding. Though I have to say, the flower arrangements seem a bit derivative. Hector's face reddened. I didn't ask for commentary from. Then his eyes landed on the boys. All 4 of them, sitting in a row, wearing matching tuxedos, staring up at him with faces he saw every morning in the mirror. His mouth went dry. Are those? He couldn't finish the sentence. His brain was short-circuiting. My sons, Marian said simply. Eli, Mason, Carter, and Liam. Say hello to Mr. Lancaster, boys. Hello, they chorused obediently. Hector's world tilted. Your sons. Mine, she confirmed, her voice steady. How old are they? 4. The math hit him like a freight train. 4 years old. Born 9 months after. No. He shook his head, stepping back. No, you're lying. If you had been pregnant, you would have told me. You would have. Why? Marian's voice was ice. So you could accuse me of trapping you? So you could demand I get rid of them? Or maybe so you could use them as leverage in the divorce? His mouth opened, closed. No words came. You didn't deserve to know, she continued, her tone quiet but devastating. And they deserved better than a father who would see them as mistakes. One of the groomsmen, Marcus, leaned in. Hector, man, are those your kids? I don't, Hector's voice cracked. I didn't know. Of course you didn't know, Jeffrey interjected smoothly. You were too busy emptying her bank account and evicting her to notice she was carrying your children. The people at nearby tables had stopped eating, stopped talking. They were listening now. All of them. Hector's perfect day was unraveling in real time. This is, he pointed at Marian, his hand shaking. This is a setup. You came here to ruin my wedding. No, Hector. Marian stood, and even in heels, she seemed to tower over him. I came here to show you that you didn't ruin me. Drop a clapping hands if Marian is the queen we all needed to see today. Hector's face twisted with rage and panic. You have no right. Actually, Jeffrey cut in, his voice calm but lethal, she has every right. You invited her, after all. Stay out of this, Courtney, Hector spat. This is between me and my ex-wife. Your ex-wife whom you defrauded. Jeffrey's tone didn't rise, but it cut through the ballroom like a blade. Your ex-wife whom you left destitute while you transferred assets offshore to hide them from the divorce settlement. The ballroom went silent. Hector's face drained of color. That's a lie. Is it? Jeffrey reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a slim folder. He opened it casually, as if reading a restaurant menu. Because I have documentation here showing wire transfers to 3 separate accounts in the Cayman Islands, dated 2 weeks before you filed for divorce. Where did you get that? Hector's voice was barely a whisper. I make it my business to know things, Jeffrey said, echoing his words from the diner. Especially when those things involve men who steal from their wives and then invite them to weddings as some kind of sick power play. Eliza appeared at Hector's side, her face pale. Hector, what is he talking about? Nothing. He's making it up. Page 3 is particularly interesting, Jeffrey continued, flipping through the documents. A $200,000 transfer labeled consulting fees. Funny, because the consulting firm doesn't actually exist. It's a shell company you created to funnel marital assets. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Hector lunged for the folder, but Jeffrey held it out of reach. You want to talk about poor, Hector? Jeffrey's eyes were cold. Let's talk about how you deliberately impoverished your pregnant wife while hiding money that legally belonged to her. Let's talk about how you've been committing tax fraud for the past 5 years. Tax fraud. Eliza's voice rose. Hector, what is he? He's lying. Hector shouted, but sweat beaded on his forehead. His hands were shaking. I don't lie, Jeffrey said quietly. I deal in facts. And the fact is, I've already forwarded copies of these documents to the IRS and the State Attorney General's office. The room erupted. Voices overlapping. Phones coming out. Cameras flashing. Hector's mother pushed through the crowd, her face stricken. Hector James Lancaster, tell me this isn't true. Mom, those children. She pointed at the 4 boys, who were now clinging to Marian, frightened by the shouting. Those are your sons. Hector said nothing. His mother's hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God. You have 4 children and you never told us. I didn't know. Hector's voice cracked. I swear I didn't. You didn't know because you didn't care to know, Marian said, her voice cutting through the chaos. You threw me away like garbage, Hector. And now you're upset that the garbage didn't stay in the bin. Eliza was backing away now, her bouquet forgotten on the floor. You told me she was unstable, that she tried to ruin your career. You said, her voice broke. You said you'd never lie to me. Eliza, wait. But she was already running toward the exit, her train tangling around her legs. Hector turned back to Marian, desperation replacing arrogance. You did this. You brought him here to destroy me. No, Jeffrey interjected. You destroyed yourself. She just refused to stay buried. And then, as if the universe itself was orchestrating the finale, the ballroom doors burst open. Federal agents in dark suits streamed in, badges flashing. Hector Lancaster? The lead agent's voice boomed. You're under arrest for tax evasion and wire fraud. The room exploded. Eliza Moreau stood frozen in the center of the ballroom, her veil askew, mascara beginning to streak down her perfectly made-up face. Around her, chaos reigned. Guests were shouting, phones were out, photographers were capturing every moment of the disaster. But Eliza couldn't move, couldn't breathe. This was supposed to be her day. The day she married into wealth and prestige. The day she became Mrs. Hector Lancaster, wife of a successful lawyer, stepmother to no one, queen of a life she'd carefully curated on social media for the past year. But now there were 4 children she'd never known about. An ex-wife who looked like she'd stepped out of a fashion magazine instead of the pathetic, broken woman Hector had described. And federal agents reading her husband his rights before they'd even cut the cake. Eliza. Hector's voice cut through her spiraling thoughts. He was trying to reach her, but the agents were already flanking him. "Eliza, this is a misunderstanding. I can explain." "Explain." Her voice came out strangled. She looked at him, really looked at him, and saw a stranger. "Explain which part, Hector? The secret children? The offshore accounts? The fraud?" "I was going to tell you." "When?" She stepped toward him, her hands shaking. "When were you going to tell me you have 4 sons? After our honeymoon? After I got pregnant? Never. I didn't know about them." His desperation was palpable now. "You have to believe me, You're a liar." The words came out quiet but absolute. "You told me she was crazy. Obsessed with you. You said she tried to ruin your career out of spite." Eliza's voice rose. "But she wasn't the problem, was she? You were." Hector reached for her hand. "Baby, please." She jerked away like he'd burned her. "Don't touch me." The diamond engagement ring on her finger caught the light. 3 carats, princess cut, the ring she'd posted on Instagram with the caption, "He went to Jared." Gemstone. She looked at it now and felt sick. With shaking hands, she twisted it off her finger. "Eliza, don't." She threw it at his feet. The ring bounced once on the marble floor, the sound impossibly loud in the sudden silence. It rolled to a stop near Marian's table, glittering like a fallen star. "You lied about everything," Eliza hissed, her voice breaking. "Everything." "Ma'am, we need to take him now," one of the agents said firmly. Eliza didn't wait to see them cuff him. She gathered her dress in both hands and ran, not toward the exit, but away from the cameras, away from the whispers, away from the life that had just incinerated in front of 300 witnesses. Behind her, Hector's voice echoed, "Eliza, Eliza." But she was gone, and the cameras captured every second. Have you ever watched someone's lies catch up with them in real time? Tell us in the comments. Speech balloon. Hector Lancaster, the lead agent said, his voice carrying across the stunned ballroom. "You are under arrest for tax evasion, wire fraud, and money laundering." Hector's face had gone from red to ashen. This is insane. I'm at my wedding." "Yes, sir. We're aware." The agent's tone was professionally neutral. "You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law." "I know my rights." Hector snapped. "I'm a lawyer." "Then you should have known better than to commit federal crimes," the agent replied evenly. They cuffed him right there, in his custom Tom Ford tuxedo, surrounded by ice sculptures and 5-tier wedding cake and the ruins of his carefully constructed life. His mother was sobbing. His father stood silent, face like stone. The groomsmen had scattered like roaches when the lights came on. Hector's eyes found Marian across the ballroom. She was standing now, the boys tucked protectively behind her, Jeffrey's hand resting gently on her shoulder. "You did this," Hector said, his voice venomous. "You set me up. This whole thing, the dress, Courtney, bringing those kids, it was all to destroy me." Marian met his gaze. Her voice, when she spoke, was steady, clear. "I didn't destroy you, Hector. I just stopped protecting you." The words hit him like a slap. "What?" "I knew about the offshore accounts," she said quietly. "I found the statements a year before you left, hidden in your office desk." His face went blank with shock. "I knew you were cheating. I knew you were lying about the money. I knew everything." Her voice didn't waver. "And I stayed silent because I loved you. Because I believed marriage meant fighting for each other." She took a step forward. "But when you left me with nothing, when you emptied our accounts and locked me out and made me homeless while I was carrying your children," her eyes hardened. "That's when I stopped protecting you." "You said you didn't tell anyone about the kids," Hector stammered. "I didn't tell you," she corrected. "But I kept records. Dates. Bank statements. Emails. Every piece of evidence of what you did to me." She glanced at Jeffrey. "And when Mr. Courtney offered to help, I gave him everything." Jeffrey's smile was sharp. "I just connected the dots. The IRS did the rest." "You vindictive," Hector lunged forward, but the agents held him back. "Careful, one of them warned. Assaulting someone in front of federal agents isn't going to help your case. Marian didn't flinch. She stood tall, the red dress catching the chandelier light like flames. I came here today to show you something, Hector, she said. Not that I hate you. Not that I want revenge. But that you didn't break me. She gestured to the 4 boys peeking out from behind her. I built a life without you. A beautiful, messy, real life. And these boys, your sons, they're growing up knowing they're loved. Knowing they're enough. Knowing they never have to beg someone to stay. Hector's jaw clenched. Tears were streaming down his face now, but she couldn't tell if they were from rage or regret. You could have had this, she continued softly. All of it. A family. Sons who looked just like you. A wife who loved you unconditionally. She paused. But you chose pride. You chose cruelty. You chose to throw away everything real for something shiny and hollow. The agents began leading him toward the door. Marian, he called out, his voice breaking. Marian, please. But she'd already turned away. Because some people don't deserve your attention. Not even at their own wedding. But Hector wasn't done. As the agents reached the ballroom doors, he wrenched himself around, his face contorted with fury and desperation. This is jealousy, he shouted, his voice echoing off the vaulted ceiling. She couldn't stand to see me happy, so she set me up. She and Courtney, they fabricated evidence. They're framing me. The remaining guests shifted uncomfortably. Some looked at Marian. Others looked away. The accounts are real, Hector, Jeffrey said calmly. The wire transfers are real. The shell companies are real. We didn't fabricate anything. We just revealed what you spent years hiding. You're a billionaire with an axe to grind. Hector spat. You probably paid her to do this. Paid her to bring those kids. Those kids, Marian interrupted, her voice cutting like steel, are your sons. I don't even know if they're mine. Hector's eyes were wild now, cornered. You could have gotten pregnant by anyone. You could be lying about. DNA test, Jeffrey said simply, pulling another document from his folder. Already done. Court-ordered paternity test processed last week. Would you like me to read the results aloud, or would you prefer to maintain what little dignity you have left? Hector's mouth opened and closed like a fish drowning in air. His mother let out a choked sob. Hector, stop. Please, just stop. But he couldn't. Pride was a drowning man's anchor, and Hector clung to it even as it pulled him under. Marcus. He turned to his groomsmen, who stood in a cluster near the bar. Tell them this is insane. You know me, you know I wouldn't. But Marcus stepped back, hands raised. Man, I can't. What? You told us she was broke, another groomsman said quietly. You told us she was obsessed with you. You made jokes about her. He glanced at Marian, shame flickering across his face. We laughed because we believed you. We didn't know about the kids, Marcus added. We didn't know about any of this. So you're just going to abandon me? Hector's voice cracked. After everything? After all the trips, the parties, You lied to us, Hector, Marcus said flatly. You lied to everyone. I'm not going down with you. One by one, the groomsmen dispersed, melting into the crowd of horrified guests. Hector stood alone in his expensive tuxedo, cuffed and crumbling. This isn't over, he said, his voice hoarse. I have lawyers. I have money. You had money, Jeffrey corrected. The accounts have been frozen. Assets seized pending investigation. Your legal bills alone are going to bankrupt you. Hector's knees nearly buckled. The lead agent tugged his arm. Mr. Lancaster, we need to go. But Hector's eyes found Marian one last time. And in them, she saw something she'd never seen before. Fear. Real, visceral fear. Because for the first time in his privileged life, Hector Lancaster was facing consequences. And there was no one left to save him. Who else believes karma has perfect timing? Comment finally, if you've been waiting for this moment. As the agents led Hector toward the exit, Marian felt small hands grip her dress. Eli was trembling. Mason's eyes were wide with confusion. Carter looked like he might cry, and Liam was unusually silent. They'd seen too much. Heard too much. She knelt down immediately, gathering them close, creating a shield with her body between them and the chaos. "It's okay," she whispered, kissing their heads. "Everything's okay." "Why is that man yelling?" Mason asked. "Because he's scared," she answered honestly. "Sometimes when people are scared, they yell." "Is he a bad man?" Eli's voice was tiny. Marian paused. She could say yes. Could poison them against him. Could make him the villain of their story before they were old enough to understand nuance. But she didn't. "He's a man who made bad choices," she said carefully. "And now he has to face them." Hector heard her. She knew he did, because he stopped struggling against the agents and turned. Their eyes met across the ballroom. "You tried to erase me, Hector," Marian said, her voice quiet but carrying. Not shouting. Not cruel. Just true. "You emptied my bank account. You changed the locks. You told everyone I was crazy. You tried to make me disappear." She stood slowly, her sons still clinging to her. "But our sons?" She gestured to the 4 boys at her side. "They'll always remind you who I am. Every time you see their faces, your face, you'll remember. You'll remember the woman you underestimated. The woman you threw away. The woman who survived you." Hector's face crumpled. "They're beautiful," she continued. "Smart. Kind. Everything you could have been part of. But you chose to be cruel instead. So now." She took a breath. "Now they get to grow up without learning that cruelty from you." "Marian," his voice broke. "I forgive you," she said suddenly. The room went still. Hector stared at her, stunned. "What?" "I forgive you," she repeated. "Not because you deserve it, but because carrying hate for you was exhausting. And I'm done being exhausted." She turned to Jeffrey, who stood quietly beside her, steady as a pillar. "I'm ready to go home now." Jeffrey nodded. He helped her gather the boys, who were yawning now, the adrenaline wearing off. As they walked toward the exit, past the shocked guests, past the forgotten wedding cake, past the ice sculptures beginning to melt, Marian held her head high. Behind them, the agents escorted Hector Lancaster out in handcuffs. In front of them, a limousine waited to take them home. And for the first time in 5 years, Marian Atkinson felt something she'd almost forgotten. Peace. They were halfway across the ballroom when Eli tugged on Marian's dress. The small gesture, so familiar, so ordinary, cut through the surreal grandeur of everything that had just happened. The crystal chandeliers, the ruined wedding, the federal agents, the cameras still flashing in the background, all of it faded. There was just her son, looking up at her with tired eyes. "Mommy." His voice was small, almost drowned out by the murmurs still rippling through the crowd. Marian stopped, knelt down so she was eye level with him. "Yes, baby." "Are we going home now?" Something in her chest cracked open, not with pain, but with overwhelming love. Home. Not a mansion. Not a penthouse. Not some fantasy life she'd lost. Just their small 2-bedroom apartment with crayon drawings on the walls and mismatched furniture, and the kind of love that didn't come with conditions. "Yes, baby," she whispered, cupping his face. "We're going home." "Good." Mason sidled up beside his brother, rubbing his eyes. "I'm hungry. Can we have chicken nuggets?" Despite everything, despite the chaos, the confrontation, the weight of 5 years of pain, Marian laughed. A real, genuine laugh that bubbled up from somewhere deep and unbroken. "Yes. We can have chicken nuggets. With ketchup." Carter added hopefully. "With all the ketchup in the world." Liam wrapped his arms around her leg, silent but steady. She ran her fingers through his dark curls, Hector's curls, and felt nothing but gratitude that these boys were hers. Jeffrey stood a respectful distance away, giving them their moment. But she could see it in his eyes, the way he looked at her sons, at her, like they were something precious. Something worth protecting. She stood, lifting Eli onto her hip even though he was getting too big for it. He wrapped his arms around her neck and buried his face in her shoulder. "Mama," he mumbled against her dress. "Yeah, you look really pretty." Her eyes stung with tears, but she blinked them back. Thank you, sweetheart. Like a princess, Mason agreed. But cooler, Carter added. Because princesses don't do anything cool. Jeffrey chuckled softly at that. Marian looked around the ballroom one last time. At the guests still whispering. At Hector's parents, who were being comforted by relatives. At the empty spot where the groom should have been cutting cake with his bride. This could have been her life. Could have been her wedding, her family, her nightmare of perfection. But it wasn't. And standing there, in a red dress with 4 tired boys and a kind man waiting to take them home, she realized something. She'd won. Not because Hector lost. Not because he was arrested or humiliated or broken. But because she'd walked into that room, the room where he'd planned to shame her, and she'd done it with dignity. With grace. With her head high and her sons by her side. Yes, baby, she whispered again, this time to herself as much as to Eli. And this time, we're going home proud. They reached the limousine just as the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of gold and rose. The driver opened the door, and the boys scrambled inside with a kind of exhausted excitement only children could manage. Within minutes, Mason and Eli were asleep against each other. Carter was tracing patterns on the foggy window. Liam was fighting to keep his eyes open. Marian slid in beside them, finally allowing herself to feel the weight of what had just happened. Her hands were shaking. Jeffrey climbed in last, sitting across from her. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The limousine pulled away from the Grand Bellamy Hotel, leaving behind the wreckage of Hector Lancaster's perfect day. You did it, Jeffrey said softly. Marian let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. I think I'm going to throw up. He smiled, warm and understanding. Adrenaline crash. Completely normal. Nothing about this is normal, she said, laughing weakly. I just watched my ex-husband get arrested at his own wedding. I brought our secret quadruplets to confront him. She pressed her hands to her face. Oh my God, what did I just do? You reclaimed your power, Jeffrey said simply. You showed him, and yourself, that you're not the woman he tried to destroy. You're so much more. She looked at him then. Really looked at him. This man who had walked into her life 2 weeks ago. Who had offered her a chance when she'd been ready to hide forever. Who had seen her not as broken, but as strong. Why did you help me? She asked. The real reason. Jeffrey was quiet for a moment, his gaze drifting to the sleeping boys. Because 15 years ago, I watched someone I loved give up on herself because a man convinced her she was worthless, he said, his voice heavy with old grief. And I was too young, too powerless to help her. She's gone now. But when I saw you, saw what Hector did, saw how you were still fighting for your sons, he met her eyes. I couldn't walk away. Tears slid down Marian's cheeks. You gave me a gift tonight, she whispered. You gave me my dignity back. No. Jeffrey shook his head. You always had it. I just reminded you it was there. The limousine slowed to a stop. They'd reached her apartment building. Jeffrey stepped out first, then offered his hand to help her. The boys stirred but didn't wake as the driver carefully carried them one by one into the building. Once they were all tucked into their beds, still in their tiny tuxedos, because Marian didn't have the heart to wake them, she and Jeffrey stood in the small living room. Thank you, she said. For everything. I don't know how I'll ever repay. Marian. Jeffrey cut her off gently. He took her hand. There's something I need to ask you. And then, to her complete shock, he knelt. Not on one knee in the traditional sense, but lower. Humble. His eyes level with where her sons slept in the next room. I'm not proposing marriage, he said quickly, seeing her expression. Not yet. That would be presumptuous and far too soon. Then what? I'm proposing partnership, he continued. Let me be part of your life. Part of their lives. Not as someone trying to replace what was broken, but as someone who wants to protect what you've built. Let me help you stop fighting alone. Marian's breath caught. I don't need saving, she said softly. I know. His smile was gentle. But maybe you deserve support. Maybe you deserve someone who sees you and chooses to stay. She looked at this man, this unexpected, complicated, kind man, and felt something shift in her chest. Not love. Not yet. But possibility. Okay, she whispered. Jeffrey stood, and the relief in his eyes was palpable. Okay. Okay, she repeated, stronger now. Let's see where this goes. He squeezed her hand. That's all I'm asking.
Thanks so much for watching till the end. If this story moved you, you're going to love what's coming next. It's even more surprising and emotional than this one. Go ahead and click the story on your screen right now, and see you in the next story.